Members, good morning. Happy Valentine's Day. It's time for our meeting. Please note that we have arranged for 4 sessions today. After the first and the fourth session, we'll take a break of 10 minutes. And after the second session, we have half an hour of lunchtime. And the third session will start at 1:10 p.m. If members would like to order lunch boxes, please fill out the menu tabled and return it to our stewards. And I've prepared refreshments for you in the morning and the afternoon at room 219 at 3 p.m. In order to pacify those who don't like meetings, can have access to egg tarts. And the fourth session would end at 5:20. If necessary, I'll extend the meeting by 15 minutes. Of course, if members would like to have an early day, then you can propose to vote on the item earlier. May I remind members that if there is direct or indirect pecuniary interest in anything on the agenda today, please declare the nature of the interest involved in accordance with ROP 83A. And may I draw members' attention to ROP 84 in relation to voting provisions when there is direct pecuniary interest involved. Items 1 and 2, FCR 2014, 15, 36, and 37. We will continue with our joint debate on these 2 items related to establishment of the ITB, i.e., the new posts to be created under FCR 2014, 15, 36, and also to set the limits or the caps of expenditure for the ITB under paper 37. Members asked for supplementary information on projects funded by the IT fund. Paper FC 111-14-1501 was circulated to members for your information. May I remind members that our motions proposed under ROP 37A should specify clearly which item it is about. I have received 200 motions from Mr. Wong Yok Men related to FCR 36. And I am of the view that they should be consolidated to no more than 20 motions. So I returned all of them to Mr. Wong for consideration and consolidation. As at 6:30 p.m. yesterday, the Secretariat has received the full number of motions from members respectively: 23 from Mr. Albert Chen, 20 from Mr. Chen Chi-chun, 20 from Mr. Leung Kwok-hong, 30 from Mr. Gary Fan, and 15 from Dr. Fernando Zhou. And Mr. Nen Leung, 40 more, Mr. Liu Chok-yan, 5, Dr. Fernando Zhou, 4, Mr. Chong Kwok-chu, 5, Mr. Yun Xiong, 5, Ms. Sit-ho, 5. So there are 64 more with yet to sort out. So after we have completed deliberations of the papers, I will ask members to I'll handle these motions in the sequence of the order they were submitted. To answer members' questions, we have Mr. Greg So, Secretary for Secretary for Commerce and Economic Development, Ms. Susie Ho, PS for C&ED, Mr. Joe Wong, Deputy Secretary for Commerce and Economic Development, Ms. Janet Wong, Commissioner for Information Technology, Mr. Johan Wong, Deputy Commissioner for INT, Mr. Victor Lam, Acting Government Chief Information Officer, Ms. Joey Lam, Deputy Government Chief Information Officer. In the previous 4 meetings, 25 29 members have asked questions, and on my list there are still two members waiting to speak, and they are speaking for the second time, Mr. Gary Fan and Mr. Dennis Kwok. And for the first round, members will have 5 minutes each, and second round 4 minutes each. May I remind members that your questions must be related to the papers on the agenda and on matters of wider policy issues. Please ask them at logical sittings or the relevant panel. May I remind members not to repeat his own or other members' points. Mr. Gary Fan. Well, before I ask my meetings, I'd like to sort of one point. You did not say at the last time that I'd like to know whether for the first and second and third round of speaking, we'll have 5, 4, 3 minutes respectively, to be followed by 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 respectively. In the past, it would be 5, 3, 2, 1 minutes respectively in the first round and subsequent rounds of speaking. But this time I've decided to do it as I just mentioned. Well, in the CSD meeting, Mr. Siwa Leung proposed to develop innovation and technology and to propose it to the 15th five-year plan so that we can be a super focal point, so that we can contribute to the development of I&T industries on the mainland. I'm of the view that obviously the reasons for setting up the ITB is not just for helping our industry to develop. Rather, we are making use of the advantages of our own industry to help China or mainland to develop. And that's why the administration is so eager that we have an officer at bureau secretary level to coordinate with their counterparts on the mainland. And the purpose is not to coordinate among different policy secretaries in Hong Kong. Siwa Leung wants to achieve the political mission imposed of him by Beijing at the expense of livelihood issues such as the Fisheries and Agriculture Fund. Mr. Greg So, you frequently have meetings on the mainland, and you put the interests of the mainland at the foremost. In reply to our written question this week, you said that whether there is any adjustment to the IVS individual visit scheme would depend on mainland's wish. I'd like to know for the policies under the ITB, what are those that need coordination with the mainland? What are policies that you are not capable of doing so at this moment? And how can you ensure that with the establishment of the Bureau, the interests of our local industry will not be sacrificed because of your bias towards the I&T industries on the mainland? Indeed, we have very close cooperation with the mainland. But when it comes to innovation technology, we also liaise and cooperate with many similar organizations all over the world. Perhaps Ms. Janet Wong can share with you our latest cooperation projects. Ms. Wong, innovation technology is very different from other kinds of industry because if we just focus on our own place, it is very difficult. So we have very close liaison with both the mainland and overseas countries. We have easy access to the mainland, so cooperation with the mainland will benefit one another. We've only got a population of 7 million, and if we confine the development in Hong Kong, then room is limited. Mr. Gary Fan, my question has not been answered by the Secretary. You were asked to set up an ITB. What are the policy areas that you feel that you cannot coordinate with the mainland without this bureau? Secretary. When it comes to large-scale R&D projects, many local universities have a state key laboratories partnership. Perhaps Ms. Wong can supplement on this. Now, it's not that there are things that we are entirely unable to coordinate. We enjoy very good working relationship. It's just that we believe with the Bureau we can be more focused and with greater intensity. Mr. Leung Yiu Chung, the third round, 3 minutes. Thank you, Chairman. I know whether you remember the questions I asked last time. The Secretary and the Commissioner did not have time to answer them all, and you asked me to ask them the next time. So I'm not repeating my points. I just want to allow time for them to answer the outstanding questions I gave them last time. The Secretary keeps saying that with this Bureau, they can be more focused in dealing with some issues. That means in all aspects, you have to set up a dedicated Bureau in order to be focused. Otherwise, what you told us was logically unsound. I want him to explain why, with the Bureau, their efforts can be more focused. Because he was challenged for having very poor communication with the industry, and he said that because there was no Bureau, it was difficult to communicate with the industry. With the Bureau, there could be more time to communicate with the industry. I find it difficult. How come there are things that a Bureau can do that a department can do? Is it because the current commission is a failure? Does that mean that all commissions or departments will have to be upgraded to bureaus in order to be effective? So I hope that the two can spend more time to answer my questions. Secretary. Well, I answered this question before. Well, in the current CEDB, we have to do a lot of things. Tourism, promote competition, broadcasting, creative industries, IT, the control of obscene and indecent articles, and also film censorship, so on and so forth. So you can see that with such a broad portfolio, I cannot be focused enough. And with the new Bureau, I'm sure there will be positive impacts on this industry. For the second question, I defer to the Commissioner. Commissioner, I'm a D6 level director. I'm supported by a D3 officer, and I'm directly responsible to the Secretary. In our Bureau, there is no Deputy Secretary or PAS to help us to formulate policies. Joe, the DS, does not have direct working relationship with me. It's not that we can't do it, but it's about the quantity of work. The DS is responsible for broadcasting policies in addition to supporting me. If we can have a Bureau, then we have more room and capacity to do more. Mr. Dennis Kwok, second round, 4 minutes. Dr. Kwok-Kaki, rather. Now I think things are clearer and clearer. Mrs. Fanny Law was interviewed by the media a few days ago, and he wanted to lobby the public into supporting this ITB. And he said that only fans of CY Leung could be appointed to head the Bureau. Now I understand why CY Leung is so insistent that this Bureau be set up. Perhaps there aren't enough CY Leung fans around. Now, if we can only promote I and T with this Bureau, then we are doomed. Because whether it be creativity and innovation or technology, we rely on the initiative and hard work of the individuals concerned. Of course, we have the I&T fund, but you just have to look at the Audit Commission's report. This government can be so bad. Now, it's not just about administrative officers of the administrators of Hong Kong, even who should be awarded honorary degrees, CY Leung wants to have a say. And these recent days, they create the impression that without the bureau, the sky would fall down. But his best friend, Mr. Zhang Xiaoming, said that even if the electoral package is not passed, the sky will not fall down. What has this bureau got to do with people's livelihood? Even things on the agenda of our FC could be taken out. When we first proposed the same, the government said no. Since they were already on the queue, they must be handled on schedule. So they took away 3, 4, and just have the Egg and Fish Fund remained, and then later even the item on Egg and Fish Fund was removed. How shameless this government! It has it dare to tell us that without the bureau, we cannot develop this industry. You should not cheat the people of Hong Kong. We have so many industries in Hong Kong, and if they can only develop relying on favors from the government, Hong Kong really would be doomed. The shorter the hands of the government, the bigger chance an industry can thrive. If the government is here to distribute favors to different supporters of CY Leung, then this industry will be entirely corrupt. People will be waiting in a queue for handouts and sweeteners from the administration. We don't want this IT Bureau to do this. There is no reason for it to do this. The government's behavior is unacceptable, and I don't think that it is committed to developing IT. Otherwise, it would not have taken away IT subject from secondary school curriculum. Mr. Wong, your comment, 5 minutes. I think we have rehearsed so many times the reason why we oppose this bureau. First, this is an duplication of efforts, overlapping of structure, not to mention the very defective structure. Why should we give you $95 million to set up such a bureau? There is no accountability at all. I'll take the director of the civil aviation as example. He is a civil servant, and next year he will receive $12 million in pensions lump sum, and to be followed by $10,000 per month. Well, the air control system he designed cannot be used, and he doesn't have to step down for such consequences. And so I think you should at least cut the current accountability structure by half. Why should we give you more money? And you should explain to me the logic. Without ITB, Hong Kong cannot promote innovation and technology. This is unacceptable. If you can convince me, I will for sure support you. Where is this direct relationship? The IT Commission can do it. The government can provide more resources. What is the science park like? Now, on Sunday, I can take my grandson there to ride bikes and to eat. And unite like nepotism. Now, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, I still have more than a dozen minutes to ask you. All right, in your papers, there are things that are vague and inflated. I hope you can turn this into convincing arguments so that I can support you. The paper says to provide high-level leadership, more dedicated high-level leadership, so that there can be a better coordination at a high level and to grasp the opportunities and business opportunities brought about by IT. And it goes on to say that specifically, the new ITB will enhance policy support for development ITB. The Bureau Secretary will provide dedicated strategic leadership and will also steer the implementation of policies and to monitor the outcome of policies. All right, you may ask, what does this mean? What do you mean by dedicated high-level leadership? What do you mean by fully grasp the opportunities brought about by technology and innovation? So what opportunities are you talking about? What development are you talking about? And the business opportunities. What business opportunities are you talking about? Give me examples to illustrate.
And what do you mean by the new IDB will strengthen both in depth and breadth the policy and support for the development of innovation and technology? And what is that policy support and how deep and how wide? Now, for my portfolio, it covers a lot of areas, so I'm not going to repeat that. Now, you are dividing three things up into two bureaus. Now, when it comes to opportunities, we have a lot of advantages. And the mainland as well as other countries are coming to invest in us. So when it comes to commercialization, there are a lot of opportunities. For example, our Internet of Things is doing very well. A lot of companies are trying to seize this opportunity. And geographically, we also have a huge advantage. We are in the PRD, and this is a big manufacturing base, and they can make use of Hong Kong's financial system to raise funds for them. And also we can commercialize the developments or the R&D. So, well, in terms of management, we have advantages, and we also know very well the culture. Silicon Valley has also come to us. Even if they have the funds, they cannot make the prototype, but Hong Kong can help people to do it. And even Silicon Valley is cooperating with us. You have asked 4 questions, Mr. Wong. For the next round, you can follow up on your remaining 2 questions. Mr. Lee Cheuk-yen, second round, 4 minutes. A lot of people criticize us, saying that we object to the establishment of the ITB, alleging that we are targeting a person, not the events. But these two cannot be separated. For this incident itself, it is something good. However, when it's in the hands of CY Leung, it's twisted. Lately, we have received letters from the IT industry. They welcome the idea of an ITB, but they also object to the funding. They share our view. That is, when this is in the hands of CY Leung, they don't know what will happen. When they look at the paper, it seems that things are vague and empty. Why can Hong Kong's INT cannot be developed? There is no clear analysis. And you should find out the reasons why we are not doing so well in INT, and then you focus on them and suit the remedy to the case. It's just very vague. It is only stated that we need a bureau, we need $28 million to do it. However, nobody has the confidence that CY Leung can really do it. So when we look at the ITB, what does it do? At the Strategic Development Commission, someone suggested this. Maybe the Secretary can clarify this. One of the objectives of the ITB ITP is to act as a super connector for the mainland. What is meant by that? That's an intermediary, a middleman. If we are going to be an intermediary, first of all, do we really need to do that? When it comes to scientific research in the world, Hong Kong has to do its own work. We should do our own R&D. We shouldn't act as a super connector. Hong Kong has always been a middleman in the history. I don't think this should be the role and positioning of the new ITB. If we want to position ourselves as a super connector, why do we need an ITB? Mr. Lee says that the industry objects to it. I don't know if Mr. Lee has read the newspaper. Lately, a lot of IT professionals and even the business sector have said that they support the establishment of the ITP. Please also read Ming Pao. I think they have already rebutted you. And you say that is vague. We have had a lot of meetings. We had many discussions and debates on this issue. Now, as for the role of super connector, this is a very important role. Hong Kong is a small economy. If we can act as a super connector, that is our advantage. Applying R&D is very important. Maybe Mrs. Wong can supplement. As for super connector, yes, it's like a middleman. Yes, we will do that. However, the most important thing is that in the process of doing this, Hong Kong can also be benefited. Our scientists can do the R&D, and if there are more foreign companies, international companies coming to Hong Kong, they can also provide job opportunities for our people. Ms. Emily Lau, second round, 4 minutes. Chairman, I believe the CY Leung Kam is very concerned about this. He really wants the establishment of the IDP to be passed, but he uses an opposite method. He keeps on criticizing us, scolding us, and CCTV is cooperating with him. And if you look at the TV, you can see two sides. One side, you can see CY Leung pointing his finger at us, saying that recognize these faces. They are objecting to the establishment of the ITB. I don't know whether, Secretary, you have advised the CE to do this. This is really very bad behavior. And also, Mrs. Fanny Law, several days ago, was arguing with our members. And he has also sent me a WhatsApp. He says that she says that she said that she wanted to lobby me. She told me why we need such a bureau. He said that for AOs and ordinary civil servants, they do not have such a technological background, and they do not have the market experience, so they need a new person with great leadership to do this. This morning, the commissioner has given us a lot of answers, and the secretary always deferred his questions to her. The commissioner comes to our Commerce and Industry panel, and we really like her. We have always asked her to do more. We will give her more funding. We want her to do more. And Fanny Law told us that civil servants are incapable. Well, in the past, we said that we were told that you want to be more focused. However, when we look at the paper, we do not find that. We are told that civil servants cannot do this. We need a non-civil servant to bear the responsibility. I asked other members whether we want to meet Fanny Law because she wants to talk to us, but we thought that that's not necessary. Now, today, the Secretary has kept on asking the civil servant, Mrs. Wong, to answer questions as to whether the members should be accountable to the public. I think that is very clear. The public knows what you are doing at the council. And as to help, we can help the development of an ITB. Well, when it comes to policy formulation, it takes a director of bureau. So at the ESC, we have already explained clearly as to why we need a director of bureau, and after debate, it was passed. I'm talking about civil servants. Do you think civil servants are incapable? Maybe Ms. Lau can go back and review the recording of that meeting. Yes, I have given the commissioner a lot of time to respond to members. It isn't that important. It's just a division of labor. So are civil servants capable of doing such things? Division of labor is very important. Just now, I told you that policy bureaus are responsible for formulating policies, and it's the eventual responsibility of the director of bureau. Next, Mr. Alan Leung. Second round, 3 minutes. Chairman, I would like to tell the public that if we keep this gates for you, then each year we don't need to waste $20 or $30 million on this bureau, which doesn't even have a plan for developing innovation and technology. And Cyberport was originally planned to be a cyber R&D center, but now it has become a property development. CY Leung is only good at playing politics, and now he's at the end of his wit. Why is he so concerned? Why is he making us having an 8-hour meeting today? He wants Mr. Wong Wai Hong to head the steering committee on INT. Now you ask Yang Wai Hong to do the study and then come to us to get the funding. That's proper, but now you are forcing us to have an 8-hour meeting today. And Chairman, you said that you have a date with your wife and you are forced to sit here. Now you are only hurting people. You haven't brought any benefits to anybody. Just now some members said, would he be helping the mainland so that it can develop through Hong Kong and go global? Well, that's this gentleman called Lau Ming-wei, and the rumor goes that he will be the undersecretary. Now, what has he invested in lately? He has invested in a reborn medicine center. Isn't CY Leung paying him back? Has he promised some communist capital to do this? Mr. Charles Mok is very concerned about the development of INT, but CY Leung doesn't care about that. He just wants mainland capital to come to Hong Kong, while mainland manufacturers make baby formula that even mainland babies dare not eat. Now he wants to introduce such companies to come to Hong Kong to do INT. This is not what Charles Mok wants. The Secretary has to explain clearly to us what's going on. Mr. Kwok Ka-ki, third round. Chairman, let us look at what's happening here. If somebody thinks that Without this director of Bureau, Hong Kong will not have innovation and technology. Then you really have to look at history. We did have a cyberport. Remember Dong Qihua? During his era, CY Leung was already there. He was a member of the Executive Council. He knew everything. So cyberport, we still remember very clearly, is a big example of government business collusion. There are some frontline R&D people that are working at cyberport. They say that there are some things weird about the cyberport. Well, for those organizations that are pro-government, they can easily get funding from the Innovation and Technology Fund. Well, in audit reports, we already have read about it. $8 billion from the taxpayers have been spent in some places where we do not know, and now you're injecting more money into this. If this is a trustworthy government, if this is done by a trustworthy person, I think we will not have a problem. However, I would like to ask the public today, who would still believe that CY Leung would do something good and practical for us? Has he ever done anything like that? He has gone back on his words many, many times. Housing, retirement, protection, poverty alleviation, there have been a lot of regrets. Over 200,000 people are still waiting for public housing, and he's so shameless. He still boasts that he has created many new housing units. He has made a lot of promises. However, he doesn't know when these promises can be honored. We are now spending millions of dollars on hiring the fans of CY Leung. Imagine how chaotic it will be in the future. We already have a team of civil servants who are doing INT. They have been working very hard. We do not need cheerleaders for CY Leung. And INT will become a battlefield for politics. Mr. Wong Yok Man? If you want to develop INT, research is very important. For Hong Kong's universities, they rank pretty high in the world. They have also have a lot of R&D, but the results are used by other countries. Why is that? Because this is not an open government. I can cite an example. When you compare Taiwan's, Hong Kong, Singapore, and South Korea in the 80s, they were the four little dragons of Asia. Now you compare these four places. When it comes to technology, Hong Kong comes last. And Taiwan, many decades ago, they already set up a science park in Hsinchu. And then if you sell a container of clothes or toys, you will no longer make money, and there are more and more competitors. Other places have cheap labor, and for our manufacturing costs, it's very high. Workers' salaries are high, land price is high, so people are thinking about transforming themselves. If you look at Taiwan, they have very good e-manufacturing. They are doing a very good business. And for Hong Kong, all the rich people are developing properties. This is a dead end. And we also have such a government. If you look at the Hsinchu Science Park, next to it is Tsinghua University. So it's a cooperation between education and industry. For some Taiwanese graduates from MIT, they would also return to Taiwan to help. And in Hong Kong, we just rely on finances and real property. And furthermore, now you are relying on mainland visitors. And you're even talking about scientific research. And how much do INT account for our GDP? You want to set up an ITB, and you just want a fan of CY Leung to be the director of bureau. What's the use of that?
It doesn't make sense. I'm not trying to pick on you for the sake of it, as some people in the pro-establishment camp said. When you look at the development of R&D in Hong Kong, when you look at the research efforts of our universities, what they have done are all in vain. What has the government done? Look at Cyberport, look at the Hong Kong Science Park. We have no innovative development. You have to tackle the system first. The system is the key. There is a problem with our economic system. There's a problem with education. If you want to encourage our higher institutes to carry out more R&D, you should not interfere with them. Professor Chen, you are a professor, so you know that academic freedom is very important. You shouldn't interfere with our universities. If you don't change your mentality, if you continue to intervene with the operation of the higher institutes, if you impose self-censorship on the academia and academic staff, it's a big problem. I think you understand the problem very well. Mr. Gary Fan, third round, 3 minutes, please. Thank you, Chairman. I would like to continue my previous question. The Secretary left the question to the Permanent Secretary, and the PS did not really pinpoint my question. My opinion is that the CY Leung administration want to create ITB as part of his strategy to please the Beijing government. And during the Strategic Development Commission meeting, CY Leung mentioned that he wants to contribute to the country through INT development, and he mentioned a certification system for high technology products and enhance Hong Kong as a platform to for mainland enterprises to step out. My question is on the capacity of Hong Kong's INT trades. We do face certain risks. At the end of last year, a mainland enterprise has had its contract rescinded by the Mexican government because of certain issues. And do you have any policies in place to encourage mainland enterprises to step out through Hong Kong? And what have you done to help Hong Kong products enter the mainland market? And I'm referring to certification and so on. If you have such policies, do you think the Innovation and Technology Bureau can help the CY Leung administration continue to please Beijing? And IT and innovation technology, in terms of these aspects, we have extensive collaboration with the mainland. We have a number of R&D centers who would help export our inventions and products to mainland and other countries. So collaboration is very important. Recently, we worked with an R&D institute called Karolinska on stem cell research, and as you said, it was a $50 million project. It's a very big project, to be able to collaborate with a world-class institution is very important for us. And we have looked at this project years ago, and it just showed the importance of Hong Kong to such institutes. Dr. An Cheng. I've heard the questions by other members. Apart from Mr. Charles Mok, I think Charles Mok was the only one involved with innovation and technology. The other members are all lawyers, social workers, etc. So I just wonder how much these members know about innovation and technology, and how much you know about the development of Hong Kong. Members like Mr. Lee Cheuk-yan said he supports INT development and he would like to create employment. The fact is the creation of ITB serves to create more employment opportunities for young people. However, today Mr. Lee refused to support the proposal, so I really hope he can change his mind. And Ms. Emily Lau said she cares about the commissioner, but now she really needs your support. I've always criticized Ms. Wong, Ms. Janet Wong. We will certainly approve your proposal because I agree with the establishment of ITB. Ms. Emily Lau said the creation of a new position will only benefit the CY Leung fans. I think the ITB doesn't benefit the CY Leung fans. You mentioned a certain Mr. Lau. Well, Mr. Lau is not a CY Leung fan. Well, it's exactly the opposite. Even if Mr. Lau becomes the head, it will be because he's capable. So I think you should look at the big picture. And Mr. Raymond Wong said that out of the 4 Asian dragons, Hong Kong ranks last, and we've been overtaken by other countries. And what he said implies that Hong Kong has to move forward. Hong Kong has to work harder. Chairman, I read a book published by IEEE, and according to the report, Singapore has a fund called MRF, which is an international fund, and it's conducting an international recruitment to hire research officers, and it will sponsor or provide a fund of 2.4 million US dollar, which is close to 20 million Hong Kong dollars. So you can see that Singapore will have major technological breakthroughs on EEE, so Hong Kong has no time to waste. You can take a look at this document. If we wait any further, Hong Kong will fall further behind. And they are spending $20 million. Right now, we are just asking you for 23 million Hong Kong dollars for the first phase of ITB. So I really hope you can approve it first before Chinese New Year. And on the detailed arrangements, I hope the Chief Secretary can come up with discuss further with the Pan Democrats on the candidates for the new head. So that's all I have to say, Chairman. I hope everyone can support the creation of ITB. Ms. Emily Lau, third round, 3 minutes, please. Chairman, Dr. Cheng was right in that the administration should send someone else to discuss with us. Well, but certainly not Ms. Fanny Law. I think the Secretary also agree that this is the right approach. I don't think this is the way to do it. Is this what we should do in terms of the relationship between the legislators and the administration? And an ex-government official told me recently that even if the ITB is approved, when can it begin operations? I'm not sure whether the Secretary or the Commissioner can answer this question. And the term will last until June 2017. If we have ITB, how many months will it be in operation? As you know, if we are to have a new bureau, when can it really pick up steam? Well, by the time we have a new executive, new chief executive, hopefully, well, if we have a new CE, the millions of dollars we spent will go to drain. Are we going to see this problem, Secretary? On the length of operation, if not for filibustering, we would have approved this last year. And on the length of operation, and if the proposal is passed as FC, we can establish ITB within 14 days. If we can get this approved today, it will be set up on the 28th of February, and the term will be 2 years and 3 months. If the filibustering goes on, it will be even longer. So I hope the filibustering will stop, and so that our bureau can be established as soon as possible. Chairman, do you believe that the bureau can be established by end of this month? Is our administration so efficient? According to the proposal, it will be established within 14 days. Perhaps Ms. Chair, the Permanent Secretary, can tell the Secretary when can the Bureau be in operation. Permanent Secretary. Thank you, Chairman. If the funding provision proposal is approved at the FC today, the government can establish this this bureau, and there won't be any changes, even if there's a change in the leadership. Mr. Lee Cheuk-yan, three minutes, please. As Ms. Wong mentioned, the role of a super coordinator, it's very unclear to me. Well, at the end of the day, we are still only an intermediary. So where's the potential for development as a middle person? The mainland can also step out to the world, and so by what extent does it have to rely on Hong Kong? I'd like to elaborate why I said everything will turn bad after it falls into the hands of CY Leung, and the name Liu Ming-wai had been mentioned. Whether we are talking about CY Leung fans or people who try to become CY Leung fans, I think it's very important for them to please the CE. And I think the CY Leung is trying to introduce so-called red capital into Hong Kong in order to help mainland enterprises. And have you really pinpointed Mr. Liu Ming-wai as the secretary? Apart from Mr. Charles Mok, other members are not experts in innovation and technology. So, does Mr. Liu Mingwei have any background in innovation and technology to succeed as a secretary? Chairman, by a super coordinator, it really goes both ways. I mentioned the example of Karolinska. But you can see that Hong Kong is appealing for such institutes because we have the expertise and we have the infrastructure. I think this really shows the success of Hong Kong in the mainland. There are also a lot of successful R&D products which they can further develop with mainland companies. So the coordination goes both ways. Today we are talking about the creation of ITB. We won't speculate the candidate of the secretary and deputy secretary. I don't know it personally. Today we are trying to discuss the new post, the new bureau. If you are unaware, why are these names being thrown around? I won't comment on pure speculation. Mr. Dennis Kwok, second round, 4 minutes, please. The paper mentioned telecommunications and broadcasting, and it mentioned that these two areas won't be encompassed under the new bureau. When you look at the incident on HKTV, you can see that a lot of ordinances on telecommunications and broadcasting are outdated. One example is that the application for a license by HKTV was rejected because on the grounds that it's against the ordinance. But on the other hand, TVB and ATV could satisfy the broadcasting ordinance. At the moment, a lot of clauses under the telecommunications and broadcasting ordinances are really outdated, and it fails to catch up with the current developments in INT. These are two very important areas of development. They are very closely tied to innovation and technology. Why aren't these very important aspects be incorporated into ITB? Why are they retained under CEDB? You said you are going to review in the future, and what are you waiting for? Why aren't you incorporating those into ITB? I actually agree with Mr. Dennis Kwok that our telecom and broadcasting ordinances are outdated and they fail to live up to the latest developments. We will try to create a new post and receive approval from the FC very soon. We will certainly update these legislations. And past decisions by the OFTA must comply with the existing legislation and rules. This is not the topic we are going to discuss today, I believe. Mr. Kwok mentioned TVB and ATV. The internet streaming by ITV and TVB is different from digital broadcasting. Perhaps we'll talk about it on another occasion. As far as ITB is concerned, we are talking about innovation and technology, creative industries, intellectual properties, etc. There are no rules whether these should be incorporated into ITB. We prefer setting up this bureau first before we discuss whether other areas can be incorporated. But under the existing plan, we will only focus on innovation and technology. So I don't understand the thinking. You said you will introduce a new post later on to update the legislation, and you admitted that the existing legislation is outdated. If you are to create a new post at the FC later on, why don't you incorporate these areas into the existing IDB proposal? They will still be covered under CEDB.
But these two are obviously related to innovation technology. Mr. Dennis Kwok, I believe you understand that this issue is going to need a lot of time and resources. And if we ask the new bureau to take up this, then it will be overwhelmed. Given that our time is limited, it won't be able to focus on innovation technology. So we want the bureau to be focused first. Mr. Chen Chi-chun, third round, 3 minutes. It's not the first time that Dr. N. Zheng said that the new bureau would only cost us $20–30 million, not a big sum. Now, this is not about the emoluments of the secretary or the deputy secretary. Even if they were volunteers, we still have to consider the proposal. The annual salaries is a minor issue compared with the hundreds of tens of billions of dollars is going to spend on recurrent expenditure. So we are not asking about the setting up of the bureau per se, but as to when it can really operate. Mr. So said 14 days. I think you were really not being very reasonable. So is it true that is it true that so long as you have the office and the renovation, decoration, and furniture, and then things can start rolling? And I'd like to know whether civil servants would be deployed from your bureau, or would there be new recruitment? I know for deputy secretary and political assistants, they can be left vacant for a long time. We have no control for that. But if you have something about this, please let us know. And financial arrangements. According to the paper, the monthly salary of this secretary is $298,000, and for the other officers, there is a salary range. So how come for this secretary there is only one fixed amount? And you've also restored pay of directorate officers to 2009 level. So there's $298,000. If you restored it to the value before the salary freeze, or have you adjusted it already? Thank you. I'll ask Ms. Wong to tell you about the establishment of the new bureau. Mr. Wong. The salary of the new secretary, $2,998,000. This is reflected the pre-salary freeze level in 2009. And office accommodation, of course, when the bureau is established, we need temporary accommodation space. In the long term, we'll have to make arrangements. What about the civil service posts? Would there be new recruitment or redeployment within the civil service? Following our usual procedures, there will be deployment because different ranks are involved. They will be redeployed elsewhere. That means you have vacancies somewhere else. Ms. Alberto, thank you. Many colleagues have criticized that you don't really have a concrete thinking about the new bureau yet. Whether there is any work plan. When colleagues asked about them, you would say that you would wait until the bureau is up and running, and when the secretary and deputy secretary posts are filled, they will come up with a plan. This is rather different from previous practice. As far as I know, usually we set up a committee or commission to do something first, and then you set a framework and some concrete thinking before you propose to us the actual, the concrete work. And we're told that new functions could be added, and if is terms of reference were to be expanded, you could come to LegCo again. So what are you doing now? It's rather rough. I've read some reports. I don't know whether this is a question for the Secretary. If the paper is not passed today, or this time, perhaps you will set up a committee to consider how things should be done before you come to LegCo in future. I think you have put the cart before the horse. You should have done this right from the beginning. You should have some idea, a framework, and a structure before you come to ask us. I think many of us will not object to your having a committee or commission first. This is better than you're coming to LegCo with just a rough idea. Perhaps you haven't been too pragmatic in your work. Regarding the term of the Secretary, you have only a year or so left for this term. So aren't you not being pragmatic enough, Secretary? We brief members our different areas of work in respective panels. In paper EC 2014-15-07, we have a very clear explanation about the structure. In particular, in enclosure 9, you can see very clearly the framework and also the work of the new bureau. So Mr. Ho can read those enclosures first and willing to elaborate if need be. Mr. Ho, there are many criticisms that you failed to answer our questions. Well, please read the paper, and if you find anything unclear, we are more than happy to explain. Dr. Kwok Ka-ki, the fourth round, 2 minutes. I've got this publication, Index 2014 from Ericsson. Luckily, Hong Kong ranked number 9. And ahead of us, there are many cities, including Stockholm, London, Paris, and New York, Oslo, and so forth. Not due to the work of Siwa Leung or the ITB, because thanks to the hard work of Mr. Charles Peter Morgan and his colleagues, without any favors from Siwa Leung, they've been able to achieve this. If we had relied on Siwa Leung, we would not have been able to rank number 9. If we really have to rely on former Siwa Leung fans to be secretary, deputy secretary, political assistant, so on and so forth, so that we can have IT development, this is a big joke. So long as the government would not have this Internet 23 legislation and dishonest use of computers, this suppression mainland style, I'm sure we will have our creativity and innovation will thrive. As we all know, whenever the government lays hands on something, it will die, because it will create an unlevel playing field. There will be a Siwa Leung fan fund. So people who are your propaganda machine, who support you, who will be given these sponsor. That chairman named surname Lee has provided $300 million to a particular person. Dr. Fernando Cheung, 3 minutes. The IT Commission manages the IT fund, and in Audit Report number 11, we can see the administrative flaws. When the fund was first set up, it had $5 billion, and now it has rolled to over $8 billion for non-R&D center projects. As at 2012-13, $2.8 billion were dispersed under the fund for such projects. And the past 4 years, it has funded 334 projects. I don't know how many in total since 2009. This $2.8 billion, I think the importance of ITF is to build on items that have a good foundation and to commercialize the products of R&D. RGC should fund a basic research, and the IT fund should work on commercialization of R&D outcome. Among the several hundred projects you funded, only 12 projects have been commercialized, and the Audit Commission considered how that was done. It singled out 5 to examine. 3 out of the 5, according to your record, was never commercialized. You said yes, but the Audit Commission picked 5 out of those several hundred, and 3 were found not to be commercialized at all. For the remaining 2, you claimed that there was commercialization, and Audit Commission asked for information. There was none. There was no follow-up at all. So all these were in black and white in report number 61 of the Audit Commission, where you come to tell us that you want a new IT bureau with extra funding, extra resources. Your past administration and management was so bad, so confusing. We talk about hundreds of millions of dollars, $2.8 billion poured down the drains. Hundreds of projects were funded. However, there was only a handful of projects that could really turn R&D product or outcome into commercial projects. Mr. Leung Kwok Hong, Siwa Leung, really, when he's alive, he is a burden to his friends, and in fact, a sixth term promoted him to the convener of the EXCO. And then they worked out a report. Cyberport turned out to be property development. There were at least tens of billions of dollars lost in land premium. That hotel was meant to be for people who work on IT projects here, but now it's now a place for lovers from Hong Kong and from the mainland, for people to meet with their mistresses. So, and Fanny Long is now the head of the Hong Kong Science Park. It's not successful at all. It is close to property development. The tenants have nothing to do with science. Do you understand? You have given them prime office accommodation. But they've become property projects, and to the loss of Hong Kong people. Has there ever been any review? Siwa Leung cannot wash his hands. So he came into the picture after Sir Siwa Zhong stepped down. Mr. Dong's bureau, there used to be an Information and Technology Bureau. It was only disbanded in 2007. And Donald Tsang killed that bureau and promoted 6 new industries. So it's just like my goddaughter. When, for instance, I asked her, why don't you write an English composition? And she said that, well, Chinese is even more important, so I'm going to write a Chinese composition. So if you ask her A, he will answer you B. I don't know whether you've been affected by your goddaughter. We are talking about this item and then you digressed to another. Dr. Dennis Kwok, rather third time, 3 minutes. Yes, I also like to, I still want to ask about our TV licensing issues, broadcasting issues. Let's not mention whether it should be subsumed, and these policies should be subsumed under the ITB, which I think is a must because the two are very relevant. Anyway, I would like to know when you're going to change the existing framework and how. Secretary, this is not really relevant to our discussion, but anyway, I'll ask Mr. Wong to comment. Mr. Wong. Review of the Broadcasting Ordinance and the Telecommunications Ordinance. Well, when the Communications Authority was set up, we promised to review the 2 pieces of legislation to see whether the 2 ordinances should be updated with the change of times. So internally, we have this thinking. The 2 ordinances cover a wide range of issues, and you may know that the telecom ordinance itself is already thick, and if the TV, or rather broadcasting ordinance is to be considered at the same time, the workload is too heavy. So we are thinking of setting up a task force to steer the review. We believe that the review is a very complicated one, and we'll talk about years to complete. I think you should have a very clear idea as to how and what you're going to do. So 2 years have elapsed. What have you done on the review? Mr. Wong? No, it's not that the task force was set up 2 years ago. It was rather the CA Communications Authority was set up more than 2 years ago with the enactment of an ordinance. And in the discussion, members mentioned that some provisions in the BO and TO had to be renewed or reviewed, and the administration promised to carry out the review. We want to have a new team. And once it is up and running, the first task is to decide on the scope of the review, because the ordinances are very complicated. If we are going to have an overhaul, then it's going to be very complicated. I talked about the very strange relationship between mobile TV and the 2 ordinances. I'd like to know whether this is within the scope of your review. Mr. Yip Kim Yuen, first round, 5 minutes. Since this is my first round, I'd like to ask some basic questions. First, I'd like to confirm whether this is the paper we have. 6 pages with some enclosures and also information from ESC. Do we have more detailed information from the administration? Secretary, in addition to the paper mentioned by Mr. Ip, we have got a paper for the IT panel and also ITB panel. And when the motion or resolution was passed in LegCo, there were also relevant papers. All right, from what I have here, I don't have any plan for the establishment of the Bureau and also the vision it is only about the creation of posts, and also the transfer of expenditure hits. So my basic question is, what is the vision of the Bureau? I think I asked this question in the past. I hope there can be a general statement about this.
On the 15th of April last year, we went to the CI panel. We proposed that a dedicated bureau be set up, and it will be responsible for innovation and technology as well as the timetable, framework, etc. We already set out in the paper to that panel. We have also talked about expenditure and consultation and the consultation findings, etc. All these papers have been circulated to the relevant panels, and there have been thorough discussions. Mr. Ip Kin Yuen, just now I heard a whole lot of items. They are not about the vision. What is the vision? What are your grand pictures for the future? Through the ITB, what do you want to achieve? And will Hong Kong become a new city after the establishment of the ITB? Well, this is too far-fetched. ITB is a south. Well, IT is a south in industry. We want to establish this new ITB. We want to lead at a high level, formulate policies so that the industries can be helped. We will try to gather more resources, train more people, help the industries to focus on developments so that we can have more advantages when it comes to competition, and there will be further advancements. The Secretary has told us some directions. That is what the government wants to do. In terms of management, vision is different. I hope the Secretary can tell us what the vision is. When we set up a company or an organization, we would have a clear vision statement. If you cannot tell us, this has been mentioned in many papers. If I say it out again, members would say that I'm repeating. Well, we want to be more focused so that we can lead the development of innovation and technology. We want to formulate new policies, and we will focus on the researches and applications of new technology so that Hong Kong's economy can be boosted. We need to build more infrastructure, and we also need to promote education and researchers in these areas. What I heard is the jobs and responsibilities of this bureau. So that would be a mission statement. But when it comes to vision statement, is what it will achieve and what kind of changes it will bring about. Well, for innovation and technology, we hope that we can create a knowledge-based economy. We want to change talents in this area, and through innovation and technology, we can develop our industry so that we can give full play to our potential. Mr. Lo Wai Kwok. Thank you, Chairman. On the night before last, I talked to some SMEs. The chairman of SME organizations had a meeting with us. We talked about the universal suffrage in 2017, and we also talked about the ITB. Yesterday, they sent LegCo an open letter. They asked that the ITB be set up so that people's livelihood can be taken care of. I think I should let the public know. They say that we are the Hong Kong SME Alliance. We represent a lot of SMEs in Hong Kong. The LegCo has been spending a lot of time on a discussion. On the ITB, we are very worried. Innovation and technology are great drivers for economy. In the world and on the mainland, INT have been playing a very important role. We are now under huge pressure and we feel helpless. SMEs form 98% of Hong Kong's business. However, we have a small scale, so we cannot do R&D independently. The government's help is very important and it will decide our fate. In view of this, all our associations have decided to start a survey on Monday, and by Thursday we received 680 questionnaires, and we also met with the press. The result of the survey is that we all agree that an ITB be set up. 87.1% of the interviewees agree to the setting up of the ITB. Nobody objects. Only 12.9% of the interviewees didn't have any view on this. The LegCo is filibustering. Over 94.7% of the interviewees hope that the filibustering can be ended so that the ITB can be set up. For SMEs and its employees, we have high expectation for the ITB. We hope LegCo will fight for us so that people's livelihood can be taken care of. Please do not waste our vote for you. And the chairman of this alliance signed the letter. Chairman, can you give me back my time? Mr. Leung Kwok Hong, other members are speaking. Please be more respectful. He has already corrected that. Please do not interrupt. Thank you. I just read out the paper, and here he says it's an open letter to all the legislative councillors. And that's a typo here, but our member is criticizing this seriously. Mr. Leung Kwok Hong, he can't even tell the difference between the Chinese name of LegCo, that is 立法會 and 立法局. If you want to express your views, you can go outside. It's now the speaking time for Low Wai Kwok. Mr. Low, please continue. Thank you, Chairman. Please give me back my time. Please continue. Well, during the motion of thanks debate, I also displayed this advertisement. Here it says that IT will be very important for Hong Kong. This is an open letter to all LegCo members. Many professionals have signed this letter. They hope that the ITB can be set up as soon as possible. They include Mr. Chen Fan-Cheng, Mr. Wong San, heads of universities. Please continue. You can ask your questions in the second round. You don't need a microphone. They hope that we will vote as soon as possible. They hope that we will support the establishment of the ITB so that a hope can be given to Hong Kong people. Well, on the same page of newspaper, we can see the dolphin whose name is Hope was put to sleep. So they hope that hope can be given to the young people of Hong Kong. They do not want this hope to die as well. Mr. Wong Kok Heng, 4 minutes. We started our meeting from 8:30. Now it's almost 10. For the last 1.5 hours, you can see that many questions have been repeated. I hope the chairman can make a judgment. For repeated questions, they should not be allowed to waste our time. Time is very precious for us today. Chairman, filibustering by asking numerous questions. And when I read Ming Pao's editorial, it hits the nail right on his head. He says that the Democratic camp is trying to filibuster, trying to stop the establishment of the ITP, but it's not benefiting anybody. So what it means is that it is in the interest of the Hong Kong people if the ITP is set up. And also in paragraph 3, it says the Democratic camp doesn't admit that this is a filibustering. They argue that they are just asking questions. They are just doing the duty of monitoring the government. But they have already said that they will not cooperate with the government at all, in particular when it's a motion concerning CY Leung. They will definitely endeavor to veto it. So they have already declared a battle. And now the LegCo is not discussing issues normally. It has become a political fight. They say they are discharging their duties as legislators, and this is not only cheating themselves but also cheating the public. The present situation is also depicted in this editorial. I think is very right. Mr. Charles Mok, well, all along the IT profession has been fighting for the establishment of an ITP, and Mr. Charles Mok should lobby the support of the Democrats. However, as politics always go first, Charles Mok will not be able to make this motion pass, and he cannot say anything. Now the establishment of the ITP has become a political tool. People are accusing the Democrats of filibustering, and some people query if CY Leung really wants to promote IT. They are now trying to confuse the whole picture. Charles Mok does not dare to object against other Democrats. He doesn't query the Democrats. However, what he should do is to support the establishment of the ITP. Charles Mok is helpless, and he can only sigh, saying that political struggles have turned people blind and deaf. You did have a sober head, and now you are totally confused. I think the Ming Pao's editorial has spoken Hong Kong people's mind, and now Hong Kong people can clearly see that this so-called question raising is just a mean to filibuster. Mr. Lau Mei-fen. Well, we're going to have the Chinese New Year soon. It's very festive. I have been to different districts saying Happy New Year to different people. When I see the Kai Fong, lately they are not talking about universal suffrage. They are talking about ITP. Well, last week when I saw them, I was still very optimistic. I said that, yes, it can be passed. Otherwise, we would not have today's meeting. However, lately I've been hearing more bad news. At the university, most of my colleagues told me that they want the ITP to be set up as soon as possible. They want members of different views to be bolder. Innovation and technology are very important. Well, things cannot be achieved overnight. If I hold your hand, it doesn't mean that we can get married tomorrow. But you have to try. If you don't try, everything will become zero. Now you are always turning around in circles. You are saying that people want to have more powers, and some other day you will say that power should be given back to you, etc. So you're going in circles. I hope that we can make use of today's 8 hours to have a thorough discussion and approve the establishment of the ITB. If you really don't agree to this, then you can vote against it. Then you would be able to show your stance in front of your voters. Yesterday in the LegCo debate, I put up 2 signs. One sign shows a new road, another sign shows a dead end. Now we have this way forward, but we can have a new road. But do you want to take your people down the dead end? A new road and a dead end. Of course, you should choose the new road. If you take this new road, you can reach the peak. You don't want to jump into the valley. Now, of course, the universities would want to see this ITB established. Yes, it may not necessarily be successful. Things cannot be achieved overnight. Next. But I hope that you will choose a new road for our people. Next, Mr. Leung Yiu-chung. 4th round, 2 minutes. Chairman. Well, the government has the power to arrange the order of discussion items. I think it's the government that's declaring a war on us. It has rearranged the order of the discussion items. So this is the result. They should bear the responsibility. As the secretary, when you respond to Mr. Albert Ho, Mr. Wong Yok-man, Mr. Leung Yiu-chung is speaking now. Well, you just read out from your paper. You didn't really answer members' questions. He asked you why your bureau cannot be focused on this job, and you just read out a list of your tasks. If that is the case, many bureaus can be split up. For example, transport and housing, that can be divided into 2 bureaus. So you didn't really answer our questions seriously. And the commissioner says that's not enough manpower, so liaison is not done well. If you do not have enough manpower, why don't you ask to increase your manpower? So if you have a bureau, you have enough manpower, and if you set up, and now you are commissioned, you do not have enough manpower, so I give you a second chance. Why can't you try to solve your present problem? Why don't you just add more manpower to your commission? Secretary, I want the commissioner to answer this question. She said that that's the lack of manpower. Why doesn't she add manpower? Oh, I hope members won't use this to filibuster. Innovation and technology are very important. The industry wants this to be set up. Why do we want to accord priority to the ITB? Because it's very important for the IT profession and economy. Now, the Director of Bureau is a political appointee. He has visions, and he should lead the direction. He would initiate reforms. And for the new bureau, there will also be a permanent secretary and deputy secretary. Now, Ms. Susie Ho, the permanent secretary for Commerce and Economic Development, she is also responsible for many other things, for example, broadcasting policy. So we do not have enough manpower, and our present manpower cannot be strengthened. Next, Mr. Charles Mok. Chairman, I'm the representative of this sector, and I know that many of our members support the establishment of the ITB. I also support it. However, there are some objection voices from my sector as well. They do not object to the establishment of the ITB. They think it's useful. However, they want a clearer planning. I still want the ITB to be set up as soon as possible. And Mr. Lee Cheuk-yen says that this may be something good, but he just doesn't trust the person. Well, in view of this experience, the government should know that society still doesn't know the importance of the ITB. I do not want to waste time to criticize people. I just want to narrow the gap. I agree that, yes, the Secretary has been speaking more, so that's good. And also I have asked the CE not to add fuel to the fire because I want to narrow the gap. Mr. Wong Kok Heng is not here. Well, but it's not true that we cannot criticize C.Y. Leung. I just want to persuade him. I think we all have different views as to whether C.Y. Leung can be criticized. The IT industry does not rely on the government. However, we sometimes need the government to create the environments. Now there are some inadequacies.
We mentioned the US and Europe. The government has played a key role. 1 year ago, on the 12th of February 2014, I submitted this proposal to the government on the establishment of ITB. I circulated to Ms. Feng Law, Ms. C.Y. Leung, and Mr. Gregory, so it was a draft proposal. If the government can come up with a better proposal than mine, then I think the queries of many members can be resolved. In order to bridge our differences, I arranged meetings between the pan-democrats and those in the trade who supports ITB. And some R&D officers who opposed to the proposal were invited to the Finance Committee meeting. I spent 2 hours chatting with them. But it's clear that everyone agrees the administration has to explain the plan more clearly. I summarized the expectations from both sides, and they all agree that planning is important, and so is monitoring. And we should have come up with a set of standards in innovation and technology. And I understand that the government is going to launch a steering committee. I think it should also be done sooner than later. 20 representatives from the IT sector published an announcement yesterday to urge the government to become impartial when they appoint officers related to INT, and the government should also come up with an IT policy and clear indicators, and it should also have a clear mechanism and evaluation system. Can the government commit to do these things? I'll leave some time to the Secretary. Chairman, of course we will listen to the views of the trades, and the appointment of the main officers is done by the central government, so we will follow the rules for certain. Mr. Frederick Fung, I'd like to follow up on my previous questions. The answer the Secretary gave was very vague. I hope you don't find my question redundant because he didn't give an adequate answer. When you look at the organization structure of CDB, part of its functions will be transferred to ITB. I looked at the structure. The new bureau, the new bureau's workload will only be 1/3 or a quarter of CDB. If the workload is so light, well, why don't we do the same for transport and housing? Why don't we have 2 different bureaus? And it's the same for Labor and Welfare Bureau. We should have 2 separate bureaus. So why are you establishing a new bureau here but not elsewhere? So that was my question last time. And my second question is, you in the Secretary's response to Mr. Ip Kin Yuen on the upward mobility of the young people, I think the Labor and Welfare Bureau said the same. But how do you actually implement that? And the Labor and Welfare Bureau, for example, suggested some policies and initiatives. Can you be more specific? I think the Secretary cannot advise whether other bureaus need to be split up. Chairman, that's not what I meant. I hope you won't ask the same question. No, my question was not whether the Labor and Welfare Bureau should be split up. You're wasting my time, Chairman. That's my time. Secretary. Mr. Frederick Fung said the scope of work is very narrow, but the fact is innovation and technology can drive other trades. I think this has been debated in many occasions, and it has been agreed and approved. In response to your question, I did not mention upward mobility. But since you mentioned it, I do agree that innovation and technology, especially startups, can provide upward mobility to young people in Hong Kong. And if our young people can mobilize their funds more easily, then they would be able to move upwards. And when you look at recent examples, with the right business model, you might be appreciated and be able to secure the funds you need, and you can further expand in the future. So it really provides a platform for upward mobility to our young people. He did not address my question. Well, I just cited the example of Labor and Welfare Bureau. They would suggest how the government will conduct retraining for the young people. You merely said, you merely mentioned what the trades are doing. Chairman, as we mentioned many times, we would observe the trends in R&D, and we would also look to commercialize the products. For example, for Hong Kong Science Park and Cyberport, all our R&D centers, they have been doing the work over the years. Mr. Wu Chi-wai, second round, 4 minutes, please. Thank you, Chairman. The Secretary mentioned that under INT, we have to promote youth employment. The support to startups is really important. I think the Secretary is aware that under INT, how we can attract funds to support startups. However, can the Secretary clarify to us that in terms of promoting, facilitating funding for startups, what kind of challenges did you face, and why did you face such challenges? How can you solve these challenges through the new ITB? This is a very important question because all along you have told us that with the ITB, coordination can be enhanced. So I'd like to hear how you can learn from past challenges and be able to do something better under ITB. This does not have a direct relationship with innovation and technology. We have to rely on other bureaus and companies. For instance, in terms of financing, we might have to rely on crowdfunding or other financing channels. Really, it's about cross-bureau collaboration. For startups, we have to look at the entire financing spectrum in Hong Kong. Most startups will secure seed capital from their friends or family. The real challenge is that after the initial fund, we are looking at Series A and Series B capital or venture capital before the companies can be listed. So we are not looking at a traditional banking structure. We have to take it step by step. I think startups and economies all around the world are facing the same situation. They would have to do studies, so it requires a lot of collaborations. Chairman, what is the relationship between ITB and the Hong Kong Monetary Authority or FSTB? And are you going to do anything with the financing arrangements? We are not just targeting technology companies. We have a lot of startups, for example, design firms. We are not just talking about INT. Invest Hong Kong also took part. They also have a role to play. Financing is a very important problem. So can Professor Chen tell us more on financing and how and what they are doing to help innovation and technology in Hong Kong? Professor Chen, in terms of financial development, we are trying to help companies with financing challenges under our existing monetary system. Mr. So mentioned crowdfunding and other financing models. These are all part of our research scope. Mr. Raymond Wong, 3 minutes, please. You have to have a valid ground before you do anything. The pro-establishment camp supports ITB. Innovation and Technology Bureau. It does not equal Innovation and Science Bureau. It's not. Well, in fact, we are talking about Innovation and Technology Bureau, not Innovative Technology Bureau. Please explain to them the difference between both. This is not a redundant question. Can the Secretary address this question and solve their doubts? The Bureau is called Innovation and Technology Bureau rather than Innovative Technology Bureau. The English is Innovation and Technology Bureau. Yes, the key is there's a word "and." When our fund is called Innovation and Technology Fund, or ITC. The fund also covers covers both innovation and technology, for instance, commercialization. So that's why we came up with this name for this new bureau. So that's why we decided to use Innovation and Technology Bureau. If it's innovation and technology, innovation should be an adjective and technology should be a noun. You have to have the proper name. The pro-establishment camp is supporting ITB, but they don't know what they are really supporting. Well, I only have a minute left, and I have another question. The paper mentioned synergy or collaboration between different units. For example, on the recycling trade, they face a number of challenges, including increasing manpower costs and rents. The land sites are rather far, and even without ITB, the CDB would work with the EPD and Development Bureau to solve the relevant questions or problems. And as such, the ITB cannot change the habits of individuals, of merchants, and the Bureau cannot support the development of local agriculture. So ITB is useless in this regard. Next, Mr. Albert Chen, second round, 4 minutes, please. Chairman, the establishment of ITB has attracted different views. the R&D trade supports the proposal. But for other countries which are very successful in R&D, for instance, the US and Israel, they do not have such a bureau to coordinate matters. These countries are very successful in innovation and technology. And what's the reason? I think the key is that their governments have clear visions on the sustainable development, and they have done work on manpower training and population policy, and their immigration policy also contributes. If you only rely on the mainland for talents, I think China cannot compare to Europe and the US in terms of R&D. So we are really at a disadvantage. Of course, Hong Kong has a tax advantage, but right from the beginning, I tried to find out whether there's any industry support with the proposal to set up ITB. For instance, for the science park, they have no space. And while you're boosting the benefits of the ITB on Hong Kong's economy, it will actually become another cyberport. And you might come up with a lot of funds, and you will merely be giving out money to different companies. Our researchers have spent billions of dollars in the past, and their successful projects could not benefit the development of Hong Kong's industries. When we look at past experience, the administration has not been paying attention. I try to find out whether the government has asked Invest Hong Kong or ITC to do something they cannot do. So in other words, the government did not really try to do anything. And Mr. Gregory So is very creative, and he tried to apply for a Filipino maid with his name card. I'm very sure he will make the perfect candidate for to head the ITB. But it just shows that the Mr. C.Y. Leung and his team have no confidence in Mr. Gregory So, but I have full confidence in Mr. So. I think under his lead, he can he can do a great job at ITB. In order not to waste any more time, I move a motion to adjourn proceedings of the meeting. Mr. Albert Chan, according to paragraph 39 of the FC procedure, he moves a motion to adjourn proceedings of the meeting. According to Rule 39 of the FC procedure, members can speak on the motion, but they may not speak more than once. Since time is limited, I recommend a maximum speaking time of 3 minutes per member. Members who wish to speak should press the button. And after the break, I will invite Mr. Albert Chan to speak first. And some bread is available at room 219. Please enjoy.